Okay, I think we are live. So welcome everybody and welcome to the first PrestaShop Project live update of 2026. It's been a while, but this time is a special occasion after a few months of a lot of a number of great news for PrestaShop ecosystem. My name is Christian Podemski. I'm tech evangelist at PrestaShop, and I'm joined by Mateo Castillo, who is product manager at Payment Experience team in PrestaShop. And today we have quite a special event, as you can tell by looking at our agenda, because I will be sharing with you some project news. Mateo will be sharing with you exciting news about the upcoming one-page checkout. But we are also in a new era after acquisition, and I would like to invite our special guests, Olivier Binet, General Manager of PrestaShop, Mikołaj Król, a new CEO of PrestaShop, and Damian Murawski, a new COO of PrestaShop, to just say hi to our community. And maybe if you have any questions, they do have 15 minutes or so to take on them. So let me invite Olivier. Hello, Olivier.
Hello, Damian. Hello,
Mikołaj.
Hello, Christian. Hello, everyone.
And Damian. Welcome, guys.
Very nice to be here.
Hello,
today.
everyone.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you again. It's been
Very
a while.
happy to be here in highly sunny Paris, as you can see. But I'm very happy to be here and to answer all of your questions along with Mikołaj and Damian. As Christian said, it's a brand new world. Damian, you've changed. It's a brand new world for PrestaShop. Lots of things happening, lots of things accelerating in the next few months. So it's the opportunity for you to hear it first from those who will make decisions. You will see the first few things coming out, and you have also an opportunity to influence what will come out next through your questions, your suggestions. So do not hesitate. Today is the day. And we have today Mikołaj and Damian.
Hi, everybody. And I will only refer to what Olivier said. So we are basically here to answer all your questions. Part of our jobs recently is basically to do that. And to those who know us already, you probably should be expecting that, since we like to be close to our community. And if the audience is here and if there's anything you would like to share with us directly, either on chat or whatever the best way to do that is, you can use that space today. We basically have that 15 minutes as the guests of today to address some questions up front before we leave the stage to Christian, so that he can give you a fantastic update of what's been happening at PrestaShop recently. And there has been a lot, as you can see, if you follow our social media. Literally, news pop in every single day. And we want you to be up to speed with that pace. So here we are with that format today.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hi to everyone. I have to leave in next 15 minutes, so yeah. But the history of this photography is funny, because that photography has 10 years, if I remember correctly, when we started our business. Nicholas had 19 years old, and I go to the photograph, and I went to the photographer, and I want the professional photo of older guy. So yeah, that's the effect of this photo.
It was the last time I've seen you wearing a suit, and it wasn't even.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a funny thing, because if I take a look at those pictures, I look like you were my uncle. So, good. So
we did ask the community to submit some questions beforehand using the form in the live update announcement. So one of the questions was to it wasn't directly related to the open source project, but it was related to how our marketplace works. So there was this question of whether we plan to do something with the fee that is required for authors on the marketplace to pay upfront when submitting the module. So to answer Peter's question. Could you do that?
Okay.
Mikołaj, Olivier, Damian.
I can go first. So definitely, well, one of our main priorities would be to improve the overall experience for marketplace, and that is for a very solid reason. So we as PrestaShop depend heavily on the revenue that is created from the marketplace, and on top of that, well, the more extensions, the more community submits plugins to our marketplace, the richer our ecosystem is. So basically, our add-ons marketplace is the first place people take a look at whenever they decide to jump into using PrestaShop. So I know that from my early agency days that primarily the reason you decide to use one e-commerce platform over another is driven by how many extensions, integrations, especially in those local markets, are there that are basically ones that you would be looking for anyways before you start pitching that project to your customer if you're an agency. But that being said, well, at the current moment, many plugins actually live outside of our add-ons marketplace. And like in any market, where we obviously can calibrate the fees depending on the scale. So if the scale is bigger and we can justify the running costs of those of the marketplace by adjusting fees accordingly, then obviously, well, it would make more sense to decrease them so that we can keep the ball going. But at the current moment, well, approximately 25% of the extensions live inside our marketplace. 75 are distributed outside of the official add-ons one. And yeah, we want to change that. That's for sure. But before we discuss fees, there's a lot of things we need to do beforehand, and a lot of small issues we need to address. So those are related to extensions positioning, fraud protection, and creators protection for that matter, paying off the technical debt that we are facing, and on top of that, we're applying some more creator-driven, creator-friendly marketing strategies so that we give more traction towards the marketplace and even make those conversion rates even higher. So potentially this making the fees more flexible and adjusting them to modern standards, also introducing and a recurring subscription in all more advanced terms is something we'll be looking for deeply. But for now, well, it is what it is, but we are definitely taking a look at it, and it's going to change probably within the next months.
Okay, well, I think nothing to add. Thank you, Mikołaj, for answering this question from Paul. I don't see any questions, and I think this is because of the fact that you guys were really active in the community for the past few weeks and months. So hopefully I will have a pleasure to invite you to some other live update. But to the viewers, if there are any questions, please ask them using the chat. Maybe there will be some. Hello, Jeff. We have quite a few people watching because, but yeah, like I said, you were guys really active in the past few weeks, and a lot of questions have been answered already.
That means we did a pretty good job then. So not the first time on stage. Yeah, last week's has been intense.
Okay, all right. Guys, if there are no more questions at the moment, I will make sure to pass to you some, other questions if there are any, during the live update, but not now. I wanted to thank you for joining us today. And yeah, hopefully we could have you on stage some other time during live updates as well.
Sure. Our pleasure. We'll hand over the voice. Oh, there's one comment in the end. So around 20% of add-ons are not compliant with V9, including modules. And it's actually good that you mentioned that, because we are about to share a survey on our Slack and GitHub. Olivier Fontenelle, our CTO, is going to approach you directly regarding that subject, because what we want to happen is to make all the plugins compliant with the recent version, V9 version, and for us it's super important that we make that path easier, not by assumptions, but gathering feedback from you and basically asking you about what the biggest obstacles are. And especially, since we are so much dedicated to AI these days, we would like to use that opportunity to create a tool set to make that process easier for those extensions creators. So we know the issue. I know that many people have actually upgraded already, and those we would like to listen to intensively. But it's either today or tomorrow we will share that survey. So we are taking steps to make that process easier. So far, we've gathered a few feedbacks about how much it takes, but we just feel like it's not enough to draw proper conclusions before we create any more paths and ways to make that process easier.
Yeah, and the DPD module will be available in a few weeks. To answer Jean-François.
No, but bug fixes are refused. I see two ways to, and long-term support for versions that are still fresh or many users are locked into. It's also something that we are considering, especially since we want to encourage more people to migrate towards the recent version. But one of the ways to do so is to create some more legacy bridges and middle releases between those. So I agree. We see that many merchants are actually stuck to the V8, but it's not like it's the most maintained version anymore. So this is why we are investigating the subject of migration so much. And this is why I actually highlighted that as a very important part of our product roadmap. So definitely I still stand by that, and we are making a good progress on releasing and making that, on releasing a tool set to make that path way easier. The new one-page checkout, when will it be available? And that's a question I ask very frequently too.
We'll try to answer that today, actually, during the live update. Okay. So keep watching. And there's also a question, or like a reminder to us, that making the modules compatible with PrestaShop 9 is not so hard, really. Because as Nico Harry noticed, making DPD compatible takes no more than an hour. So, but it's also a question to our community to keep pressuring some of the service providers to make their solutions compatible, because the more people want the module on the new version, there's a better chance for them to take on this work to make their solutions compatible as well.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons we really need those extensions under one umbrella, so that we can track those requests, track that traffic, and also put some more pressure on service providers, because obviously we cannot be the main maintainers of all the plugins out there. It's like thousands of plugins only within our ecosystem on our add-ons marketplace. Obviously, we need to provide proper core, proper documentation, and paths to upgrade, and also make that process easier. But it's ultimately up to the creators to follow that process. So
I see a question in French. Maybe Olivier, could you take on this one? I think it's about translating live update to other languages.
It's having an automated translation or subtitles. Is it possible to have that?
Right. I think not live at the moment. We actually have tried this feature on Google Meet when we met with committers of the PrestaShop open source project. It worked quite well, but produced some auto-tune-like sounds in the meantime. So it was quite funny, but eventually it's definitely a tool that will help us communicate better with our community, because we could have English to French and French to English translations and other languages translated right away, but not possible as for today. Maybe with some automatic subtitles added after the event.
Working with big companies is the worst. It took a year and a half to fix a branch selector widget for checkout. Well, I know it can be frustrating, but at the same time, I understand that for bigger companies, it's always more complex to manage those processes. So we as PrestaShop, since we are the representation layer of our ecosystem, I like to think we have a solid credibility to push for some changes. And we try to do that as often as possible. But for that, we need data, we need your feedback, we need those extensions available as part of our official add-ons marketplace. Also, it's good if we can have them in our cloud sync, so that we can basically see those changes coming even before we release a new version. Because believe it me or not, we track which plugins, which extensions are the most popular ones per specific market, and the more we know, the better we act on the behalf of our whole community. So but I agree that things are not always very agile with those big companies.
We have one more question, and maybe that could be the last one. And now you guys are short on time today.
What is the status of PrestaShop as a headless? And here's a funny thing, because by the last week, we've had like around 30% of the API coverage. But there are a few community members who recently tried to incorporate Claude into the process of contribution to PrestaShop, and they rapidly increased that number to around 45%. So we are making a good progress here. And if you haven't watched the recent webinar on PrestaShop's future, I encourage you to check it out, because one of our biggest commitments is that we'll actually finish the process of covering the communication layer with API for PrestaShop sooner than later, probably in the next 1 or 2 quarters.
Fun fact about this is that yesterday or 2 days ago we received a contribution with 170 endpoints added using Cloud Code. It's probably not really usable because it's a bit too much and there were some errors, but this shows how powerful AI could be to help us to go to the finish line on many ongoing projects.
We just all need to learn how to work with it.
All right. So if there are any more questions, I will be sure to pass them to Olivier, Mikołaj, and Damian later. So maybe they could join us again during some other live update. Guys, thank you for joining me today, and
You're
see you some
welcome.
other time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good seeing you again. And yeah, the stage is yours.
Right. So now that we had a chance to hear from the new leadership of PrestaShop, it's time for the project news. So yeah, the biggest news of this week is obviously PrestaShop 9.1, which was made available last week. And obviously, we have been communicated about 9.1 for quite a while already. It's about Hummingbird 2 compliant with EAA, European Accessibility Act. It's about multi-carrier. It's about the new revamped discount interface. So plenty of additions to PrestaShop 9.1. But on top of that, we have also prepared a comprehensive documentation for the developers to make sure that their solutions are compatible with PrestaShop 9.1. Since it is a minor version, there are not really breaking changes between the versions, some slight adjustments, but the big addition, which is a Hummingbird, does require from you some adjustments and some adaptation of your code, especially if it touches on the front office of PrestaShop. So head over to our build blog, head over to the developer documentation to learn more about what is required to do. And I highly encourage you to test PrestaShop 9.1. We are not slowing down. PrestaShop 9.2 is already in the works. So yeah, plenty of things going on. And another release from last week is PrestaShop 8.2.5. This time it is about security. It's a patch containing 2 security fixes for PrestaShop. The same fixes have been added to PrestaShop 9.1. So, well, what else I can say? It's highly recommended to update your stores, and I always like to repeat that if you cannot do the full update of your PrestaShop instance, make sure to at least take what has been changed in the new version regarding the security and backport it to your instance. That is better than relying on outdated version of PrestaShop. So if you need to know more about PrestaShop 8.2.5, head over to our build blog, see on GitHub what has changed in between the versions 8.2.4 and 8.2.5, and make sure to make your store more secure by incorporating those changes to your instance. Going forward, I would like to mention a few ongoing projects that we are working on right now. As Mikołaj mentioned, there's plenty of things going on in PrestaShop related to AI, related to our confirmed roadmap that guys shared during Q&A on LinkedIn recently, and during some other events that they've been part to. And I would like to mention a few projects that are actually very, very crucial for PrestaShop to continue improving the software, one of which is the reworked pricing engine in PrestaShop. So this is eventually one of the most common challenges in PrestaShop, that the pricing mechanism is a bit outdated, the code is all over the place, and it's hard to test and maintain from for so many years and so many years to come at PrestaShop. So the project has finally started, and the team is working on the new calculation system built to be reliable, consistent, and properly tested this time. So we have started a discussion on GitHub, which is maybe not exactly about the technical implementation, but rather to gather the feedback from you about some more corner case scenarios about calculating the tax properly, calculating some eco tax or some other type of fees that are added to products and basically are around pricing. So if you have any feedback regarding prices in PrestaShop and calculating the taxes, calculating the prices, head over to GitHub to discuss it more. And I can tell you already that it has like 59 comments. So there's a really active discussion, and that's the beauty of open source. And I would like to encourage everyone that has any feedback on the ongoing projects to do the same. Head over to our GitHub discussions and provide us with the feedback. Feedback is a key. Feedback basically shares with us whether what we do matters or whether we should focus on something else. So a few ongoing projects are, for example, a B2B fundamentals. There's also ongoing work on multi-carrier / multi-shipments. There is also work on the new discount system in PrestaShop 9.1 and upcoming versions. There is also a project that aims to make our GitHub issues backlog, GitHub issues section more friendly by removing or closing, rather closing outdated issues. There's one-page checkout on which about Matteo will be speaking. And obviously there's this discussion about the reworking pricing engine. So quite a lot of going on in PrestaShop project, and we will be sharing more about the ongoing things and the current roadmap in the upcoming live update in April and May. But now it's time for the main piece of this presentation, the presentation of the new upcoming one-page checkout. So Matteo, I'm inviting you to the stage. Hello, Matteo. You are on mute.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Hi, Christian.
No worries. Hi, Matteo. So the floor is yours.
Thanks, Christian. So I'm going to talk about one-page checkout, but let me just see, Christian, if I can switch my slides accordingly. No, share my screen.
Could you share your screen?
Yes,
That
yes,
would
yes.
be
I'm going to
easier.
share my screen. So let me just get the good screen. And does everyone see my screen change? Christian, I don't know if you see well.
It doesn't work now. Let me check. There
Great.
it is.
Perfect. So thank you, and sorry for that minor setback. So yes, so as Christian, you're all waiting about the one-page checkout. You all know why we are working on it. PrestaShop does not have a native one-page checkout that would help boost conversions for people that mostly buy on mobile, or for merchants that wish to sell rapidly low-value products on a mobile experience. Today, our 4-page checkout is not the best for that. So today, the idea is to be transparent with you and to share to you where we are. We started working on it not more than a month and a half ago. So today, I'm going just to show you a preview of where we are today, okay? And some elements just to show you. It's not finished yet. It's work in progress, but I'm going to let the videos talk. So first of all, let me introduce this by saying that we want to have a guest first experience on this new one-page checkout. So meaning that as you know today, the 4-page checkout, if you want to activate the guest checkout, it's no more than a disguised account creation form inside the checkout. The only difference is that you tick in a box if you wish to create the account by submitting your password. That probably was a decision made some time ago, and there should have been good reasons for that. But today, it is not the best if we want to provide a seamless experience for guest shoppers. So, first of all, we want it to be guest first, email first, meaning that from now on, if you want to make a purchase as a guest on a PrestaShop website, you can do it only thanks to your email, okay? Of course, we will keep all the checkboxes related to the modules that inject RGPD or newsletter thingies. They will still be there, but we will be able to manage an order just by providing the email. Of course, this new full one-page checkout, there's not going to be full-page reloads. We're going to manage reloads by bits, by sections, depending on the states and the informations that the user has submitted previously in the form. And one other point that we wanted to share today is that in this new experience, actually, we wanted to keep it guest first, and also to remove as much loading and difficulties for the checkout itself. So as I'm going to show you, now we're going to have an experience that it's always that's already known by users on the web, on which we handle the login and the account creation on the dedicated native pages. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like. So in here, I'm in a back office page. As you know, today, as a user, you can activate or deactivate the guest checkout. Okay, so this has not changed. This is the same. So in here, I'm activating the guest checkout. I have already activated the one-page checkout on this example. And here we are. So as you can see, just the email, and then we have the delivery address. I fill in the informations. We tick the boxes. And below, actually, as you scroll, actually, the informations have been already loaded. The delivery method and the payment method depend on the country that you provided either on the delivery address, or for the payment methods, either on the delivery address or on the billing address. That's a configuration that you can set already in the back office. So once you get here, all the informations are already loaded. And that's it. For now, this is where my demo stops. Why? Because we're currently working on it. The team actually has open PRs currently regarding the complete payment experience. So that's something that we're actually working on this week. So today I cannot show it to you. But this was the basic experience. And so if we go on with the second demo, this is to show you what happens if you have an account, if you wish to log in, if you haven't done it before. So for example, you arrive, you click, as I was saying, you go to the native page, and we have you get back to the checkout. In here, you can see the new layout that we have created for the cards for the addresses. Today on Hummingbird, on the 4-step checkout, the boxes are quite bigger. In here, it was better for the user to have them on rows. And as you can see, all has been pre-filled and ready for doing the payment. So we believe that this will significantly improve the experience of purchase on PrestaShop. Some other thing, if we go on, we have decided to build it as a native module. Okay, this was a decision made internally. We thought it was the best approach. It's still open source. It's available for all of you. You can already follow the progress. I will share to you the link if you don't have it already. It's not going to be activated by default. You will be able to activate it yourselves. It's going to be pre-installed, but you are free to configure it, to enable it, to deactivate it, to remove it. That's your choice. So, meaning that it's safe. If something goes wrong, you can remove it. And we have implemented a system on which, if there's a major issue with the module itself, there's always an automatic fallback to the current checkout system. And one other thing is that drove our decision is that, thanks to the feedback the feedback that we're going to get thanks to you and everyone. We will be able to iterate easily. We will be able to update it easily, and you will be able to also download the update easily without having to update a minor patch or something like that. So we think it's more flexible and it's best for the future. That's what we think today. And so let me show you what it looks like on back office side. So in here, I'm the module manager of PrestaShop, and we have the one-page checkout that has been added here. And in here, let me pause. In here, as you can see, we give you the choice. Keep the current layout or use the new one. As I was saying in introduction, a one-page checkout boosts conversion, but let's remember that it's not always the case. 100% of the cases, maybe there are some other cases on which, depending on the value of the goods you're buying, there are more reflective purchases that people make. So that's why we want to let the merchant choose the layout best suited for his business. And in here, you can choose one or the other. We added a modal warning the merchant to be sure to activate it, to make sure that his theme already supports it. Okay. And if he wants to test it, he can do it on a pre-prod or on a staging environment, on a local environment. But if he is on prod and he does that, we added a method to activate the maintenance mode from there, just in case, to let him see what it looks like, and like that his business is safe. And that's the way we configure it on the back office. Let me get back. And so if we go on, what does this mean for the ecosystem? As you may imagine, this will require some adjustments from theme and module editors. Okay. We have made it based on Hummingbird v2 because it's the upcoming default theme and it's the future for us. But that doesn't mean that theme editors won't be able to adapt their themes to be compatible to the one-page checkout. Of course, we are building communication documentation to share to you all as soon as we can, with all the details on what's in it for you, what you need to change, and that will be done over time. For module developers, of course, they will need to read all the empty data statements and get updated live. So with the Ajax new system, you will need to listen to events that are made available to display the good information at the proper time. Okay. And last but not least, we talked about the add-ons marketplace earlier on the webinar. Well, actually, we are thinking about this new concept of OPC compatible. So we need to think about, we're currently documenting and thinking about what will need to be done by the people that sell modules in the marketplace to declare that they are compatible with OPC, and how we will control it also, maybe at first manually or automatically. But the idea is to have also some kind of process that will be shared to all the community, of course, to let every user that would like to install and test OPC with all the compatible modules, to let him know that he's safe to do it. And one last thing about data tracking. As you may know or not, for example, as we did for the update assistant module that we have out there, we want from now on to make decisions driven by real data. Today, unfortunately, we don't have as much as we would like, and we want to collect the informations that will let us measure the adoption, understand which layout is used anonymously, measure the performance, does it work well, and detect errors and fix them as soon as we can. And let me reassure you that we do not aim at all to collect any identity, shopper identity, URL identity, any sensitive data. It's not the purpose of this. For our purpose is really to improve our product and the quality of it, and to answer to the use cases. Some maybe to confirm some choices that we have made, or maybe to confirm that maybe they weren't the best and change the course of action. And given that we have decided to make it as a module, be able to iterate and fix and push super quickly. Like that, you will be able to have always the very best version as soon as we get some insights. So before we go on to the questions, here are some major milestones, what we were expecting. We are advancing really well on our team, on our side. We aim that by end of April, the module itself will, we hope, to be finished, and it will be testable and available in GitHub. Just to let you know, we needed to also make a small PR on the core to have a new hook on which the module would be based, okay? So from end of April or beginning of May, you will be able to play with it really completely, to test it, to anticipate the changes while the 9.2 will be released officially. The 9.2, I don't have the precise date, so I cannot share to you anything today, but for sure it will arrive on 2026, the second semester. So here the idea is to share to you, and we will inform you once it will be done, it will be ready for you to test it, to play with it, to tell us if we've forgotten something. We will hear you and we will measure, and the idea is to have something that really will answer some basic needs and important needs from our community and our users. There's the link of the module, and of course there's the initial discussion that I published a month ago. We can discuss over there, we can open new discussions, and I'm open to hear all the feedback that you may want to provide. And that's it for me, Christian, and thank you all. So I'm open to see your questions.
Thank you, Matteo. Congrats to you and for the team, for the progress that you've made already. End of April seems really close. So looking forward to testing the new OPC. We had a couple of questions, I think, but more like remarks. For example, don't forget to put placeholder or label for email field. That are all valid. That is all valid feedback, but I encourage you guys to head over to the repository or to the GitHub discussion in order to have such conversation. It would be much easier than commenting that there. And we do have a question that is, I think, related to what you've said before. Could the style and selection of pickup locations be integrated into the one-page checkout? That way, modules could plug into this API and use a common framework to display and select pickup options. So it's more like doing a one-page checkout framework than the module, it seems.
Well, from what I understand from the question, if I understand right, and I think it's a super idea and something that we would like to do at some point, but today we cannot do it right now. From what I understand is that to have a common, maybe a common map system or something on which all the modules that provide pickup locations would plug themselves, and all the pickup locations would be in a very same secured standard map. If I understand right the question. Today, it's not the case anyway, but that's something definitely that we would like to improve in PrestaShop in general. But in order to do that, it would require also to do some upgrades on the carrier system itself. And also to have something like, I don't know, maybe I'm saying nonsense, Christian, and you will correct me if I say something wrong, but one idea would be to have a common, for example, map system usage at a website level in order to make sure that everyone uses the same tech there behind it, and there's no intercompatibility issues between several modules that use different systems in the checkout. So definitely that's a great idea, but not covered in this version, unfortunately.
The idea is good, but there are a lot of nuances in order to make some, a common pattern, a common, for the developers to use to follow. So it's not planned at the moment, but maybe. And I encourage you to share this feedback in the GitHub discussion, maybe with a bit more details on how would you see this tech implementation come to life. Maybe you have some ideas in mind. Come join to the GitHub discussion and share more feedback on this one. It's definitely interesting one, especially since we do care about backward compatibility, about ease of updates, and any common pattern, and set of best practices basically helps us to keep the software more reliable. And it's definitely an interesting idea. So Tato Wickman also reacts to collecting the data, which is to him fine as long as there's a way to opt out. So let me remind you that there is already a way to opt out from data collection in Update Assistant. It's all covered. And as far as I know, Matteo, confirm if I'm right, you will follow the same exact pattern as it's used in the Update Assistant.
Exactly, maybe, and I'm sorry for not having mentioned it clearly in my slide, but yes, there will definitely be an opt-out mechanism for that. It's not mandatory, but again, it's really agnostic and just for having an idea of the performance of the feature itself. So yeah.
One comment from Daniel to with lots of encouragement and just to sweeten our day a bit. Matteo, I'm 100% sure you will do a great job. One remark from Daniel. Matteo, I'm 100% sure you will do a great job.
Oh,
the OPC design you have is basically how Shopify is or my OPC model configuration. So thank you, Daniel, for that comment. And there is also another remark from Daniel that any module can, just use the display carry extra content hook, and that is obviously right. So that is correct. But I feel like that the previous question was more about the next part, not about using the correct hook, but a certain technical implementation in order to, for example, display a map or selection of location and so on and so forth. So it was like a step forward comparing to what we have today. There's another question from Makmarov. Is there a prospect of creating a flow like this? Email, payment method, delivery, address, entry if necessary. For example, no address is needed at all for self-pickup. So it's about basically changing the order of order step, changing, that you fill the payment, you check the payment method first and then the delivery address and so on. As far as I know, it's not planned at the moment.
Yes, exactly. It's not a major use case that we have. Actually, we are having something that it's standard, but I'm guessing for building that kind of specific flow, maybe something can be done by a specific module creation or something that honestly I don't know. I think it's possible, but anyways, it's not covered by what we are doing.
And it would also require more work on the core than the module, really, because the module is using what is capable, what core is capable of, and basically it's core that controls the flow of the checkout. Of course, module can override it, but it would be better to have it in the core, really, not in the module. That doesn't mean it's not possible in the module, but it's not planned at the moment. So I see there's a discussion on what is possible and what's not on the certain hooks. For example, one big map with all pickup locations would be nice, but it's complicated. Cars push their widgets like crazy and are deprecating APIs to fetch branches in a custom way. That is true. I can confirm that basically any shipping module comes with some widget that is basically compliant with their module. That is also why Matteo mentioned that the next step could be to have this compliance flag that whether the module is or not compatible with one-page checkout, and a proper documentation is in the works as well. All right. Are there any other questions to Matteo or some other questions about the project? Maybe some about the pricing, about the 9.1. We still have a few minutes.
Just in case, I see a comment from Jean-François Viguier. Hi, Jean-François. And hi, Daniel. I didn't say hi. Nice work on OPC. I hope that carrier modules will follow quickly. Also, we hope it too. And well, actually, that's the idea, to communicate. I'm communicating. I'm trying to communicate at best with everyone to say, hey, we tried. No, we actually, that's something that I didn't mention precisely here, but actually in this new work, we kept all the hooks, the existing hooks that are currently available. We didn't, we wanted to limit, we didn't want to make breaking changes or severe breaking changes. The only obvious and mandatory one is that the states must be listened as long as you go, so that's a change that the modules need to make. But aside of that, all the rest stays the same. They're going to be the same hooks for carriers, the same hooks for payments, the same hooks for everything. So we hope they will do it, and we'll try to communicate at best before, and that's it.
Yeah, and that also goes the same for the multi-carrier functionality. It will require for shipping modules to adjust to this core functionality in the future. And we also do communicate, we do create a proper documentation and communication towards our partners in order for them to adjust their solutions to this upcoming feature. So it's an ongoing process. Like, we do add new features, but we also have to follow up with partners and within our ecosystem in order to make sure that they do use what we've been adding to the software. There's another question from Jeff. Is virtual product supported? I mean, no address needed.
Yes, actually, yes. That's something that we pinpointed, and we're going to build it in the next development cycle that we're starting this week. But yes, what we intend to do is to change the current behavior, because yes, the current behavior on the PrestaShop and 4-page checkout is that even if you have only a virtual product, you still need to fill in a delivery address, which makes not sense that much. So what we intend to do is to detect if in the cart it's composed only by virtual products. We do not display the delivery address. We just display the billing address, because the billing address is mandatory. And that's it. And no delivery options. It's going to be really seamless.
Perfect. So if there are no more, yeah, Matteo, go ahead.
No, sorry. And I think that's it. If you don't have any questions, sorry, Christian.
Yeah, I think that would be it for today. As I don't see any more questions from our viewers at the moment. So, Matteo, thank you for joining us today, for showing the current progress on one-page checkout and answering some of the questions from the viewers. I'm just sharing with the community, with our viewers, the link to the URL to GitHub discussion that Matteo started, where you can share all your feedback. I'm sure there's plenty of interesting ideas of what could be done, but for the time being, I will recommend on focusing on what is absolutely required for the OPC to be usable for merchants. Even though Matteo and the team did tremendous work on discovery, maybe you will have some ideas on some, corner cases that we have to absolutely have to follow. So this discussion is a great place to share such. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in on this first live update of 2026. And we will see each other in April, and hopefully with more updates on one-page checkout.
Of course, I'll be glad to come here and show you more.
Thank you, Matteo. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our live update, and see you some other time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.